So we've been looking for a house for me and Brenda that gives us two things. One, for me, I want to be on the same floor. I want a master on Main, which really there are not a lot of. They're out there, but there's not a lot of them to pick from. Because I don't want to be going up and down the stairs, because my knees. And Brenda, she's a Leo, and she needs sun. And the crib's kind of dark, which I like. But, so finding the sun and the windows and, all the things that we want, that, for both of us, have been a bit of a challenge. So
he gave me some basic criteria to go look for, and then he said, hey, listen, why don't you, work with Brenda and see if you guys can find exactly what she wants, make her happy. This is what she's looking for. And so Brenda and I, for 2 years, we continued to search for a particular type of property. And what ended up happening is because we couldn't find what they were looking for, where they wanted it, we scratched that entire idea.
We thought, all right, we're gonna build a house. We'll build exactly what we want. Then we bought a piece of property that was right next to the crib. And the bottom line is that piece of property to build the house that eventually we designed was actually too much for the area.
When that particular building project did not work, both Dallas and Brenda were so frustrated that they were, we're not looking for the next, 3 to 6 months, Tony. We're done for a while. And I was, it is what it is. That, and it's not my job to push a sale. I'm not after one sale. I'm after their lifetime of business. So I'm not pushing that one sale for them. So we just took the time, waited for, Brenda to call, and sure enough, she called and she said that she had found a house that she wanted to take a look at, and she was pretty excited about it. And I asked her what the price was, and she told me, and it was outside of Dallas's budget. And I told her, Brenda, I'm always here. We'll go take a look at it for sure, but I don't think you're going to get this within Dallas's budget. But let's go take a look at it.
And I was so mad at Tony for showing her a piece of property that was out of my budget. And you're like, we could try to make it work. And like, no, we can't.
And so what ended up happening is we came over, took a look at this property, this home, and that was that moment that I'm looking for. When I saw Brenda's reaction as she walked through this house for the first time, I knew this was it. This was the house.
And then I get a call from Brenda, please come and look at this place. It's everything we want, blah, blah, blah. It's beautiful. And I really didn't want to go. I just didn't. I knew it was more than I wanted to spend. And so I reluctantly went. I actually called them. And I don't remember what I said, but I was in DDP mode as far as don't show my wife another house that's over this amount.
When Dallas walked through it for the first time,
I completely 100% no-sold it. Like, yeah, nice.
Although he tried to be stoic, I know Dallas well enough, he was being stoic.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna sell the 3 different fireplaces or the 16-foot ceilings or...
Hands behind his back. Then his face would change. He'd see something and he'd get a small little smirk. I knew he liked it, but yet he tried to be like, this isn't, it's outside of my budget. I'm not gonna get excited. And that's what he kept saying, Tony, I'm not gonna get excited.
No, I loved it, but I knew that price tag was too high.
Ultimately, we just couldn't get the price low enough. We couldn't get there. There was too much of a gap. And so Brenda was disappointed, but I don't think she really got her hopes up because she knew it was outside. She was just dreaming at the time. And Dallas, kind of let it sit for a little bit. If I remember correctly, Dallas gave me a call about a week later and said, hey, bro, see what you can do. I was like, see what I can do about what? He said, see what you can do on that price. I said, on the house that we just looked at last week? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I will. So I pushed a little bit harder and he bumped up a little bit what he'd be willing to spend. But then he drew a hard, firm line on that. And so I called Age and asked her, I said, hey, listen, can you do this? She says, I might be able to make that work.
And I said, Tony, I'm the only one you're talking to on this deal. He goes, okay. Said, do not call her until I tell you. He goes, I got it.
Once he realized that this thing could work and that he could truly surprise Brenda with this home, when I came back and told him that the numbers weren't going to work and the deal was dead, that they just wouldn't go down to the price that he wanted, he didn't want to hear it. He wasn't having it. And he asked me for the agent's number, he asked me for the owner's number, give me the owner's number, I'll negotiate this thing, I'll find out what's going on. I was like, we can't do that, you know? I'd be glad to do it, but the agent's not gonna give that phone over to you, you know? Started talking with the agent and asking them, what are some other motivations that we can work with? And ultimately what it came down to is we're all just going to have to take a little bit of a hit, all of us. Dallas was going to ultimately have to pay a little bit more than he had set in stone. This is as far as I'm gonna pay. The sellers were going to have to take less than what they had in their line in the, in stone. For them, both of them were in stone. We had to move them to sand, right? And they had to scratch that line out and say, okay, we'll take less. And the agents ultimately had to take a little bit less. And I normally don't do that. I normally don't have to do that. But because of this relationship, and again, this is a legacy type thing for us. And this wasn't the only property that we have closed with Dallas. I was glad to do it. And so we were able to take a reduction, all the agents were able to take a reduction in commission, the sellers were able to take a reduced value for their home, and Dallas was willing to pay a little bit more. And so we got to the number that everybody was willing to do the deal at. And at that point, I remember, Dallas going back to that almost a little boy voice. There's something about Dallas where he gets excited, and Christmas is coming, right? There's a change in his voice and an attitude, and he gets this big grin. You've seen it. Gets this big smile on his face, and I could hear it over the phone. This was all being done over the phone, but I could hear his mindset change, and he was super excited.
So now I've got to close fast. So it's right in the beginning of February. I want to have this thing closed and done by my most hated day, which is Valentine's Day. I hate that day because it's just one of those made up things so card companies and flower shops can make a shitload of money. And it's annoying, yes, to me. So I'm going to go the other way with it. And if I can get this house, I will never have to even think about Valentine's Day again.
So there was a rush for everything. And of course we had to get Dallas in time into the closing table without Brenda knowing. We had to close on the house, and then once we closed on the house, we had to get her back over here and do the surprise. So you'd mentioned, or Steve, I guess, had mentioned that there was, the property is currently showing pending.
Yes.
All right, so that would be a challenge. Obviously, we were thinking about the challenge of...
Just as long as she hasn't looked at it.
Right, well, here's what I'm thinking, is we'll say that the agent called me and said that the property is pending. However, she thinks it might be falling apart. So, and she thinks the price might be a little bit lower than what we initially saw. So let's get Dallas over there one last time and take a look at it.
Any last words?
No, it should be fun though. We're ready to go.
No, why? We got here. We're waiting for you.
Another coat closet, powder room for guests again.
Oh, a black toilet. That's
Nice,
cool.
right?
Yeah, isn't that really? No.
So Tony, tell me what's the story on this house?
The agent has suggested that the contract's possibly going to fall through. So what we're doing is we're coming by and taking a look because the sellers may be a little bit more motivated, and we think it might be an option to reconsider.
Cool.
Got dirt on my toe from outside.
Is this the only house that you guys have looked at that you've liked so far, or have you guys seen other ones?
We haven't seen anything that we really liked.
Not move-in ready like this. I mean, this house, there would be
I
nothing.
would do nothing to this.
Nothing.
house.
Like 2 years ago we started.
I guess I thought it was a year and a half. But I
No,
guess you're right, 2 years.
January, you started having me look. And, like, see, this is the refrigerator.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. So apparently the agent didn't inform me that there was somebody already looking.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
And somebody else has put in a backup offer on the house and they've accepted it.
Oh.
So, I don't know what even to do at this point.
Well,
I'm
isn't there
extremely
like
sorry.
a time?
No, they're closing. It's done. It's not for sale anymore. And this is from yesterday to today.
What are you gonna do? It's because I bought the house.
You bought it? Like bought it?
We closed yesterday, Brenda.
Wow! Oh my God! Oh.
We closed yesterday. Congratulations.
No freaking way! That's the coolest thing ever! Oh my God! Oh man! I can't breathe.
Are you verklempt?
Yeah. It's more like hyperventilating. Wow. Oh my God.
Congratulations.
You're an asshole too. Oh my God.
I didn't know, so.
Are you lying? Is he lying?
Of course he's lying.
We've been working.
First of all, Tony, your wife's an actress. Dude, you're an actor.
It's the pinnacle of all the transactions that we've ever done when you see the emotional eruption of we did it, we found it, it's perfect, and they're fully satisfied. It's extremely satisfying for me to be a part of that. It's not common that you get to do that, and this is one that'll go down in the history books for me.